After Shadow House episode 12, I'm starting to feel like Kate put Emilico through some torture and it wasn't needed. Kind of had that feeling late last episode where, why didn't Kate tell them how to clear out the soot poisoning or whatever you want to call it that was basically controlling them? You still had Lou and Ricky kind of under the effects of this type of brainwashing, and yet they didn't tell them how to remove that. Now, granted, like we mentioned, John was kind of able to clear it out of Sean by just punching the crap out of him. But yeah, there was really no clearance there. And as the episode went along, it was really more about their emotions that affected them and cleared them of this control. And like I said, wasn't really necessary to sit there and force her to drink a bunch of water. So very weird on that regard, but still fine, just because, like I said before, I was kind of fearing the fact that they would constantly continue on with this aspect and have them controlled when I don't really want them controlled. But at any rate, they are pretty convinced that it's Edward that has Emilico, so they go to basically try to infiltrate Grandfather's wing by using the appearance of a veiled doll. So Kate goes in there dressed up as a veiled doll. Of course, just before this, Barbara and Barbie show up, and they were talking about the fact that now that Edward is ahead of this particular wing, he wants to report it any kind of disturbance whatsoever, and that he is, of course, wanting to be a social climber, and that kind of infuriates her. So that obviously tells them where technically Edward should be, and that Kate can kind of focus on searching those locations. Really cute seeing John kind of fearing for Kate's safety here. I'm starting to ship this whole Kate-John thing. I think they're fantastic. But yeah, so she, of course, goes in this location. Obviously, there seems to be an alert to her presence there, so they're trying to find her at the same time she's trying to find Emilico. Edward's trying to push Emilico to reveal what essentially Kate's plans are, and so that he can report that information to Grandfather and thus get on his good side. So obviously sacrificing Kate's future for the sake of him climbing that social ladder. And we did have a brief, interesting scene here as Kate's looking for Emilico, and that she finds a locked box. And she's thinking that Emilico might be in it, so she's trying to use her soot to control the doll that Emilico has. And of course that doesn't work, but as she's leaving, the interesting thing that we have is one of these small shadows that is without form starts following her. And at first when I seen this, my immediate desire personally was, oh yay, this could be Shirley. Shirley could be in this form and she can regain her form later. And the only indication that it has of identification on this shadow form is a ribbon. And I don't remember that Shirley had a ribbon like this on her. She did have, I think, like a little flowery ornament on her, but not one of these ribbons. But then it dawned on me, the scene where Rum is holding Shirley's hand as she disappears, what was on her finger? A white ribbon. So I think this, and this makes me so happy, I think this all but confirms that Shirley still technically exists, but she's existing as this small shadow form, which hopefully, if she meets Rum again, which I'm surprised that we haven't ran into Rum at this point. We've gone to the Veiled Dolls area over and over again, and we've yet to run into Rum. But this at least gives me a lot of hope that Shirley will eventually re-meet Rum and then regain her form as Shirley. And that just, after that tragic scene of her disappearing, I'm still yet to get over that. So at least now we have a hope. We have a hope that we can have Shirley come back. So absolutely fantastic. I'm as much as I, dog on some certain writers where they don't commit to death and that kind of stuff, it fits within this world, and it's something that I would love to see happen come back, just because of how close Rum and Shirley got right at that last second, and then just get that kind of teared away from them was really tragic. So super excited about that. But yeah, and then of course Kate finally hears Emilico's voice, goes inside there, and Edward's waiting for them. So we'll see what happens at that point. I guess this is going to be turned into the big final battle for episode 13, the finale, where we have Kate confronted by Edward, possibly a scuffle between the two of them. I'm honestly seeing this turning into some kind of a fight between the two of them, just because of how Edward is so fixated on finding something wrong with Kate in order to rise up in the ladder. He He really does seem like he is fixated on destroying anybody that can possibly give him a leg up at this point. So, but yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we did finally have Lo come back to her senses, and it essentially was caused by Luis talking about how if anybody were to take Lou, she would be, furious. She would never allow that to happen, and that connection again causes Lou to kind of come back. Same thing with Ricky. At some point, Patrick correcting Ricky for saying, "Why is everybody going so out of their way for this living doll?" He's like, "She's not a living doll. She's a Milico, and you're Ricky." And again, that emotional bond thus clears him of that mind control too. So thankfully, everybody is restored at this point, except for Rum and Shirley. And again, like I said, we at least have a glimmer of hope that we can have Shirley come back. But yeah, really fantastic. I honestly, besides the whole reveal of Shirley possibly still being there, wasn't too much big happening in this episode. Just really kind of focused around Edward, his attempts to manipulate Emilico into revealing something about Kate. Some really cute little interactions. Emilico trying to fight back her urge to rat out Kate by faking that, or at least imagining that she's eating food so that she doesn't use that hunger for a weakness for herself. That was really goofy. Then she falls asleep because she ate too much imaginarily. And really kind of a question of what's in the box. I don't think the box has anything to do with Shirley or Rum, unless they're keeping Rum inside of there until she becomes a veiled doll. But yeah, a lot of question marks around the box, and I'm not quite sure if we have any indication of what that might be at this point. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 12 of Shadow House. Definitely looking forward to the finale of it. I appreciate you guys joining me to talk about this. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Hit a like if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. And y'all take care.